I've always been bothered by people's tendency to try to define art because it never seems to work. No matter what definition you have for art, this is art, this is not art, this is good art, this is bad art. It always falls short. And I think that's because art is not definable, similarly to how God is not definable. We can make true statements about God. God is great, okay? God is not helpless. To say God is helpless would be an untrue statement. But there are infinite true things you can say about God because he's an infinite God. And this is where relative truth and absolute truth come together. They're not opposed, they're just flip sides of the same thing. So it is absolutely untrue to say that God is evil. It is absolutely true to say that God is good. God is weak. What about that statement? It's relatively true and untrue, because in the context of God is the creator, to say God is weak is untrue, but in the context of the incarnation, God took on weakness. And I think it's really important to have this principle both in your work and in appreciating the work of others. You can focus on what is good, because that is a point of truth, and focus on developing that point of truth. With art, don't focus on is this art or is this not art? Is this good or is this bad? Focus on what good is here, or what problem is here. And you'll have a much more fruitful conversation than if you try to apply those rigid categories. One of the things I encounter as an artist, especially in trying to make and sell work, and I encounter it both in my own soul and in people that I sell to or interact with, there's a lot of guilt about buying yourself something critical. So we tend to value doctors and pastors and people who fix evil, whether it's physical sickness or moral evil. But we have a hard time moving into the space of let's create something beautiful that's not necessary, right? We think we should spend all our money on something that's useful or something that heals. But the fact is, before the fall, our whole job was to work and create and make beauty and nurture and grow. We didn't have doctors. We didn't have pastors. We didn't need them. So the intrinsic purpose of a human being when God first created us was to do things like create beauty. And that would have been an infinite task. We would have spent all of eternity, and I hope that we will spend all of eternity, doing things like creating beauty. And part of creating beauty is growing closer to God, because God is that source of beauty, right? And so I really encourage you to think about the things that we'll be doing when we get back to that 0 point of creation. Before there was physical sickness, before there was moral sickness, what would we be doing in the new heavens and the new earth? What would we have been doing before the fall? We would have been creating beauty. We would have been caring for plants and animals. We would have been creating a garden out of the whole earth. That was our plan. So while we absolutely value the doctors and the pastors who are trying to get us back to that 0 point of being okay, not morally sinful, not physically sick, we also want to keep in mind our ultimate goal, which is that continual creation of beauty, the pursuit of goodness, the pursuit of relationship with God. Part of the problem is a lot of people just don't buy art. So why don't they? Part of it, can go back to Protestant Reformation. Experiencing a lot of abuse of images in the Catholic Church, a lot of Protestant reformers wanted to throw images out. The general tenor of their approach was, art's fine, art's nice, art's good, but it's dangerous, it's got all its problems, let's just put it to the side and not worry about that, because if we don't need it and it's dangerous, then it's really not worth investing time in. And that has really filtered down to our present age, and we've lost a lot of that culture of art is something that is integral to human experience.